Welcome back, everybody, to Brainstorm Brewery. This is a very special episode this week because it's a set review. Your favorite episodes.
Hooray.
Wait, that's nobody's favorite episode.
Oh.
Hooray.
I did a set review with you guys once before, too.
Yeah, we got Jacob Van Lunen on this week. You guys heard him there. Pro Tour winner Jacob Van Lunen coming to help us break down Guilds of Ravnica. Are you excited for going back to Ravnica in general, Jake?
Yeah, the original Ravnica is my favorite set ever. I'm also just excited to do a set review. Last time, if you remember, I was right about everything in hindsight, and yeah. Looking
That's what
forward to
we're going
writing
with? You were right about everything?
I was, right?
I'm right about
remember
everything
when you
in every
guys were
set
saying
review.
that Rekindling Phoenix would never see play?
I would have never
like...
said that in my life.
All of you said that.
I didn't even remember what set you were on until
No
that comment,
one brought you on this podcast to correct us or tell us that we could possibly. You can't be bringing.
It took you. It took 3 years, but you were eventually right about Rekindling Phoenix. So that's got to feel good.
No, it took like 3 weeks. Really? All right, whatever. It's like a really strange concept of time.
I mean,
Did that really see play back then? I thought it was just catching on now.
No, that card's been hot for ever since the set came out, man.
Yeah, man, it's just like...
What Phoenix am I thinking of? I don't know.
We're talking about the one in Standard, Jason.
Oh, that one.
You're
that one's
thinking of
nuts.
Flamewake Phoenix.
Yeah, I'm thinking Flamewake. You're right.
No, he was on for Rivals of Ixalan, not Fate Reforged.
That makes
Hasn't been
more
that
sense. Yeah. Okay.
I mean, the important part is that I definitely did not get it wrong.
The important part is I made money off that card, and I didn't need to be right. So.
All right, so here's what we're going to do this time around, everybody. It's Guilds of Ravnica preview. I know we complain sometimes about set reviews, and it's not because we don't like them. It's just because we feel like...
No, it's because I don't like them.
Well, I like them. I like talking about the new cards and everything. It's just it feels like it's most of the time we just say, hey, this card's going to go down, and it just feels like we spend a lot of time talking about stuff that in the end isn't actionable. But we do have a slightly new twist.
Whoa!
This time around. So in the past we've done a million different things, but what we're doing this time is instead of doing highest priced, lowest priced, whatever, we are going to work down the best selling cards on TCG Player. So we don't know what we're going to get. It may be 15 minutes before we get to a Planeswalker. It may not be. I don't know. But we're doing rares and
I hope
mythics.
it takes more than 15 minutes to get to a stupid-ass Planeswalker.
So anyways, list of the best-selling rares and mythics. That's where we're starting, and let's just jump on into it. Runaway Steam Ken.
No, you know what, Corbin? What? This is do you really want to jump into set review? Because I feel like we got some housekeeping to talk about.
Keep my house, man. Go ahead.
Okay, so you guys are probably wondering about Teespring, what the haps is. I've been arguing with their customer service, and it looks like our only recourse is to send in the stuff for a refund. And then we'll do a new Teespring campaign, and you can just get free stuff. Instead of letting us pay for all the shirts, they're going to foot the bill, but we have to go through the inconvenience of sending in our shirts for a refund. So that sucks. I would have preferred we just paid for it, but we're going to do a new campaign. If you ordered stuff from the old campaign, please just send it in. Send us a bill for your shipping. We'll reimburse you for whatever cost you're out to send the stuff back in.
So what people need to do is you're saying they send their T-shirts if they want, because the graphic came out a little.
It doesn't look good. I would like everyone to have good looking shirts and hoodies and stuff.
Right. So if they send their stuff back into Teespring, Teespring will refund them.
Yeah. Either email us for the address or check the show notes of this podcast episode. We'll have the address, and we'll post it on Facebook. That's the address in Kentucky to send stuff back to Teespring. Teespring will credit your account with the amount you spent on the shirts when they get them in, and then you can use that credit to buy the new shirts. So the only thing you're out is the cost of shipping the stuff back, which we will reimburse you for. So I realize that's not ideal. You would prefer just to have new stuff sent to you. We can't do that.
We tried.
Yeah, we tried. I argued with. I have a 27 email chain with their customer service, and they were.
Yo! I have So this is odd, and this is like kind of funny, so it probably is worth talking about. But I have a really good in at Teespring that I could have you email. The person who started Teespring, like the person who owns the company, was my younger brother's roommate at Brown. I know him well. He's stayed at my house before. His name's Evan Stites Clayton. He's great. But he owns the company Teespring. So, yeah, I could, if like you wanted, I could be like, hey, they're having a lot of trouble with your customer service. These are friends of mine. And I'm sure that he would solve that issue for you, like, immediately.
I mean, what we're trying to do is a little unorthodox, because they're like, well, you have shirts you don't like, and it's not our fault, but we're still willing to give you a refund if you don't like his shirts. And we're like, no, just let us pay for it. So
we just wanted to pay them money and have them send new shirts to the same people.
Yeah, we just really didn't want anyone who ordered from us to have to do anything except wait to get a new package in the mail. And that's weird. And I could see why they're like, no, we can't do that. That's weird. So, yeah.
Maybe I'll email Evan for you. Just
that would be
exactly.
Wow, this is podcast history being made right here.
Yeah. Like literally, just send me an email that you would like of everything you would want, and then I'll send that to Evan and see what he can do.
Well, there you go, everybody. Hold tight.
There you
I guess.
Yeah, hang tight. The Teespring debacle goes on another week. Oh, we're in a holding pattern. What's not a debacle is the glasses are on their way. So we've decided that if you bought the terrible glasses shown here with the letters flaking off, tell us, say, hey, I got the bad glasses, and we will send you good glasses. I ordered 300. That should be enough to last us for a couple of months. And so if you got the lame glasses, you don't need to, like, even if you're not a $20 patron anymore, if you got the bad glasses and you were a $20 patron at some point, let us know. We'll send you 2 of the new ones. Because everyone should have the good glasses that we threw Marcel under the bus so we could get. So that's all the Patreon stuff you need to know. If you don't know what we're talking about, go to patreon.com/Brainstorm Brewery. For as little as $1 a month, you can have access to our Discord server where we can see some dank memes about Corbin drinking milk and me not knowing how to order t-shirts. And there are other prizes for other tiers, and just thanks so much for supporting us and giving us the money to light $1,000 on fire when we do Teespring. So that's it. That's all I had. I guess we can start your regularly scheduled set review, unless JVL can help us out with the glasses or something. If it's like, oh shit, I know a guy at Bargain Wars.
Yeah, so we've got some new we've got some new Patreon goals up. So that's what we're working on right now.
Yeah,
our BSB party next year.
Our tentative Patreon goals as of this moment are lighting Corbin's chair on fire, lighting Corbin himself on fire. That one will be fun.
I heard that
will be on the podcast.
Good.
Our wives will be on the podcast.
What's the tier for that? Is that $2,000 a month?
That's $2,000.
The wife shit talk podcast. I really want that to happen. I like separate for like, hey, it would be nice to have that much money. We don't save that money. We just squander it. So I really want to hit that goal because I want all 3 of our wives to talk shit about us on the podcast. I think that would be great.
Emily just learned about that perk tonight, and she's really excited. Now she's gonna go out and tell people to give us money. She's like, you should have me on the podcast for my birthday, which is coming up in a couple months. And I was like, well, you can be on the podcast as soon as our Patreon hits. And she's like, wow, I'm gonna go harass people online now.
I told Marianne about it, and she said no. And I was like, yeah, you're going to do it. Don't worry.
So one last thing. I'm in addition to the beer I'm drinking straight liquor to help me get through this set review out of this nice, beautiful flask that one of our listeners sent us that I guess he owns a laser.
Well, what was it? Blake Smith. Shout out to Blake Smith. He said, what did he say? He said like something about like, well, I might or might not work at like an industrial laser engraving place, which these are amazing.
Oh, so he did these at work. Yeah. Don't say his name then. Let's give him a pseudonym. Like, give him a really common last name. Call him like Blake Smith or something to hide his identity. Yeah, Mr. Smith sent us these wonderful looking flasks. These are cool as hell. This is give us idea for maybe a new Patreon goal.
Yeah, I didn't.
We got the pint glasses, but
I didn't teach myself to engrave metal at work just because we have an industrial laser. I mean, it started out like that, but I really enjoyed the video so much. He's referring to the one chip challenge. Got to give credit to your video editor for pulling those close-ups of Corbin chugging the milk. And he also gave a shout out to whoever made our logo.
Oh yeah, that was Inkwell Looter.
Yeah, he said, shout out to whoever made our logo and made making them so much easier. I do professional projects for big companies, and they send you a tiny shit-quality JPEG, and your logo is an HD masterpiece to work with.
That's funny.
Yeah, except the one I sent to Teespring. That wasn't it. Everyone knows how to pull a good logo but me, apparently.
Nice one.
So yeah, shout out to Inkwell Looter. He's still doing some art stuff, so yeah, if you could find a way to support him, that's cool. He's an old friend of the cast.
Yeah,
good dude.
All right.
So yeah, again, I'll put the Teespring address in the show notes, and we'll figure out what to do there.
12 minutes down of the set review. We're only hitting an hour. We have killed almost 25% of the episode already, and hadn't had to talk about a single.
I tried.
Well, here's what I think. If we sort by most popular, it's something we haven't done before. I think it's
much better. So let's get into it. I know, by the way, everybody, there was a lot of other drama you probably want us to talk about, but it's set review week, so we're gonna.
There's also like 30 emails that we need to get to that we wanted to do.
You're gonna get if you want a million different hot takes on what happened at Worlds, because I just got back from Worlds. They're out there for you to find. Hopefully, if we address it next week when things have settled a little bit, we'll see what happens, but.
We could do a mailbag brain bite.
Yeah, we could. All right, let's jump into the set review here. All right, so we've got
Ken is not $1.
You've got us to talk about these cards. We've got Jake here to help tell us how wrong we are. So it starts off the best-selling card on TCG Player.
Rare or mythic?
Guilds of Ravnica.
Rare or mythic, Corbin?
It's a rare.
No, you said the best-selling card. I'm specifying the best-selling.
Yeah, sure.
Rare.
The best-selling rare or mythic in the set, because if someone's buying commons...
Basic Island, actually, was more than this or whatever.
Anyways, all right. So it's Runaway Steam Ken. This is the 1/1 elemental. Whenever you cast a spell, if it has fewer than 3/1 counters on it, put a 1/1 counter on it. Remove 3 from it, add red. Do you guys know why this is the most popular card? Because I do, and I'm curious if anyone else is on top of it.
Wasn't there somebody who posted like a Twitter picture of a mono red modern deck that like kills you on turn 2 with Pact of the Titan and something else?
Yep. Frank Carson did the math on it, I believe. Yeah, it's
Do you need to cast 3 Pact of the Titan?
Yep, it's 3 Pact of the Titan, Simian Spirit Guide, this card, Goblin Bushwhacker. There's maybe some other piece there. I think it's exactly 7 or something.
Probably Mountain as well.
Yeah, and it deals 20 damage on turn 1. But the odds of it are literal astronomical, but that's why it's the most popular card. So I mean, it's $3. What do you guys think right now?
I also think it's a popular card because it just goes into other budget strategies and it's a very easy card to slot into existing decks.
Yeah, it's
not like a build, it's not like a card that requires an entirely new archetype.
Yeah, and I don't hate it for like spell slinging, for keeping those spells going. Because my favorite card in the set is Thousand Year Storm, and I like how this couples with that. Not that I would ever play this in EDH, so I don't know when and where I would be doing this.
But is pretty good. This will be pretty good in my mono red Token Storm deck. Actually, I think
it's just it's a fun card. It's whatever. I think that deck is a little memey, but like, who cares? This is fun. And that's why we sorted by most popular.
Yeah, but $3 isn't the price point to where you buy into rares for the most part. Unless they're like Goblin Chain Whirler level, like unless you're planning on playing this card at the or in the weeks after the pre-release, you don't really want to buy it for financial gain. You're gonna hear that a lot echoed this episode.
Yeah, this cast. All right, here's a fun one. Swiftblade Vindicator is the next most popular card.
I like how you didn't even let our pro talk about Runaway Steam Ken, Corbin.
Oh, Jake, do you have thoughts on Runaway Steam Ken?
I mean, I do not love it. I think you can play it in current existing decks. There may at some point be a deck where it's like a viable constructed card. I don't think it's worth $3.
Yeah, it seems. Yeah. I mean, honestly, it seems unlikely to really catch on. The Storm decks in Modern are pretty streamlined.
Like, it's a much worse card than Swiftblade Vindicator.
Well, do you like? Well, let's talk. I mean, Swiftblade Vindicator is only $1. Red, white, 1/1, double strike, vigilance, and trample. What do you think?
So I mean, $1. Like, again, like, this is kind of a card that, like, if it does see play, it's really only going to see play in like one deck, and it's just a rare. So I don't think that this price is like a buy this card because it's going to go up type of thing. But I do think that this card is better than people are giving it credit for. I mean, it works really, really well with Mentor and with Anthem effects. The big knock against it is that Chain Whirler will still be around.
Yeah.
But I think that decks that play this card will also play Guild Mages for him and a lot of Anthem effects. So I think that it's pretty easy to engineer, ways in which this isn't just dying to Chain Whirler.
This card also seems decent with Chain Whirler.
Yeah, exactly. Like, you have to remember that you also mana bases get so much better now that we have this set.
Yep.
Like, this set changes a lot about like how our mana bases work, and this thing has the potential to attack for a whole lot of damage. There are so many different ways that like every point of power that it's a double strike creature. It does what double strike creatures do.
Yeah, also Vigilance is big here. I had actually not even realized Guildmage's Forum was a card, but that could be a thing.
Hey, speaking of things that could be a thing, Jacob, can I ask you about something last time you were on? You just reminded me you were on for Rivals of Ixalan. You liked a card called Path of Metal, which is like a bulk rare right now. It's like a $2 foil, but I think seeing how the Swiftblade Vindicator is one of the more popular cards in the set. Do you think if that deck does become a deck, Path of Metal has upside?
I think it's possible. Path of Metal's like a weird card because that was a really, really hard card to analyze because when you're imagining it at its best, it seems absolutely absurd. And it's a card that doesn't really have a lot of analogs. So I think that it is entirely possible that card becomes good alongside things like this card. Though, again, like that type of strategy, just Chain Whirler in general, punishes you for going too wide. And I don't think Swiftblade Vindicator is necessarily a go wide type of card. It's more of a, watch this thing kill you.
Well, and the other weird thing is obviously that Chain Whirler and Swiftblade Vindicator both go in a Path of Metal deck.
Yeah, you could do that. That's entirely possible. I mean,
I think at $1, it's a card that it's certainly, if you want to try it, if you think you've got a shot with it, if you want to play with it, whatever, it's the right price. I mean,
are you saying Path at $1 or Vindicator at $1?
Vindicator at $1.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's as cheap as it gets at a pre-release, right? It's it's high upside. Downside seems minimal.
What's weird is this wasn't restocked at a higher price. Like, if this is the most selling card, but it hasn't gone above like $1.15
the
market.
Low is 2. So market's 1, low is 2. So people have bought enough copies at 1 to push it to 2.
Okay.
Yeah. What I like this store. One of the stores listed him as lightly played on the pre-sale.
It's like, hey man, I whatever. Sometimes cards come out of the pack all messed up.
We actually
it's honestly a good strat. There's a store near me where my boy Carter Hatfield, shout out to him, just pays LP. He's like, I'll pay you LP prices and everything. I list everything on TCG Players LP because I don't want to deal with it.
Yeah, that's what.
And I think that's an interesting strategy. I just heard about doing that.
It's just easier, right?
One of the main reasons that people do that in terms of large stores on TCG Player is if they're in the direct program and they don't want to deal with cards being shipped back.
Yeah.
Because people generally consider the direct program to be extremely stingy on card grading for cards coming in from RIs. And so they generally there's a lot of stores that just tell their employees, like, everything's LP at the very best.
Yeah, and you just don't have to worry about people being upset and then trying to get 50 cents out of you.
Which is why I love that Chicago Clubhouse is like, pack fresh, lightly played. Yeah. I love that.
All right.
Is that no faith in wizards?
All right, so next up, I mean, this
it curled. It's not even foil.
This seems like a combo. Tajik, Legion's Edge. It's the next most popular selling card.
Well, it seems like people might be building the deck, huh? Didn't Jerry T call this the best card in the set?
It's $3. It's a 3/2 haste mentor creature. And for red and a white, it gains first strike until turn. Yeah, this card is very good. I mean, haste and mentor is extremely powerful together.
Yeah, I mean, also the extra text on there that it prevents non-combat damage that would be dealt to other creatures. Like, that can actually be relevant. Like, it can block chain whirlers from taking out other creatures, force people to use removal spell this if they're tapped out, tax their mana in an interesting way.
Well, this card actually seems super.
It's like he gives all your other creatures totem armor in a weird way.
Yeah, I mean, this card's just it's a really good card. I mean, it's a 3-power haste creature for 3, which is already good, and then it
give it first strike
for
later.
4 the turn it comes into play often, and leaves that extra point of power lying around. You know,
this card is insane.
And you know what? They didn't even try to make this appeal to EDH players. They're like, look, you always bitch about what we do with Boros, whatever. So here's a blank. We're not even going to try. This is 100% for standard, maybe modern. Enjoy. And I like that they didn't make this 5 mana to try to make it an EDH card with some other ability. I love that they just screw it.
It's fine. I'm going to be honest. Don't hate it at $3 pre-release weekend. Specifically trading for it at that price.
Yeah.
Because red decks typically do well in a new format. This seems very powerful. It's got a lot of pieces to work with. It seems like, based on the best selling at least, people are at least interested in trying it out. I really don't hate picking up a playset of these at $3 at the pre-release. You know, maybe it doesn't work out and the card becomes $1.50, $2 for the rest of its life, but
then the $3 card you traded for it went down to $1.50 also anyway.
Right, exactly. Yeah, and it could just easily top 8 the first weekend in some sort of Boros deck. Because you have to keep in mind, this standard rotation coming up is almost unlike any other in recent memory, because all of the good cards, all of the deck-defining cards, with the sole exception of Teferi, Settle the Wreckage, and Search for Azcanta, are rotating. The core of the red deck is rotating. The core of the blue-black decks are rotating. Like, all of these decks in the format are losing their pieces. There's basically not a surviving deck outside of some version of blue-white that isn't just getting eviscerated by rotation. So we actually, a lot of times we can look at a rotation and say, well, here are the decks that survive pretty well. Let's see, where things are going to go from here, but here's something to work with. We don't have any of that this time around. So it's going to be really fun.
Yeah. Also, again, Tajik, I think one of the more unsung cards of the set is Guildmage's Forum, and that card is quite good. And I think Tajik works very nicely with that card.
Yes.
Being able to turn it into 5 points of hasty attacking power for 4 mana instead of 4 points for 3 mana. Just like it then, you cast this the turn after you cast a Chain Whirler, and then the Chain Whirler and this are both attacking for 4.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a free roll, except, I mean, it produces colorless mana on its own. I mean, let's talk. Guildmage's Forum is tap to add a mana. You can pay 1 extra mana to add a mana of any color, and if you spend on a multicolor creature spell, it enters with an additional counter. It's 50 cents. It's a bulk rare.
But it's a $4 foil, which actually the listed medium's like $6. So I think this is a anytime the foil multiplier is like 10x or more. Like on the pre-sale, I think people are like, I think there's a little bit of buzz around this. So
I think you definitely want to buy this. I think you definitely buy Guildmage's Forum. And whether or not it can end up working in large numbers in a deck that has a bunch of hard mana costs, because that's obviously if Guildmage's Forum is one of your 2 lands in your Boros deck and you can't play your 2-drop that's red-white, then that's obviously a problem. But the upside's pretty high as well.
The thing is that your 2-drop that's red-white is a card that you would never, ever dare play against somebody who's playing basic mountains. And playing it 3 mana off your Guildmage's Forum suddenly makes it a card that's very good in that matchup.
That's true, yeah.
And if you play something like Tajik that has haste, you're not even really behind the curve.
Yeah, I don't think it's I think it's a way for you to play like 2 and 3 mana cards and have them remain powerful into the mid game.
Yeah, I'm actually I'm actually on board at Guild Mages 4 and 50 cents. I mean, pick them up.
But hey, we went out of order, and that's stressing me out.
True.
No, I'm just kidding.
We did
now, you know what? We're doing it in a weird order, and I'm perfectly okay.
Well, next up,
I went all the way to Rivals Exelon one card ago.
We still spent like 12 minutes on 3 cards, so we're doing about the par rate.
Yeah. Next up is Venerated Loxodon. It's $1.25. Convoke 5 mana. When it enters the battlefield, put 1/1 counter on each creature that convoked it.
Pass.
I don't even want this in EDH.
Bulk. Pass.
I actually like this card. A lot of the time, you're getting a 4/4 for like 3 mana. That's also adding 2 extra power to the board. So you're getting like 6 points of power and toughness for like 3 mana. Like if you go like 1-drop, 2-drop this, like that's kind of busted, right?
It makes your Land War Elves and stuff better. You know, if you're
they survived that Chain Whirler. This could be Chain Whirler buffer.
It doesn't even have to be like Land War Elves though. It can just you can go like like any random 1-drop, any random 2-drop, and then cast this thing, and it's a 3 mana 4/4 then that also made your other guys bigger. Like card's fine. Like this is a card that Craig Wesco is particularly excited about. And,
I bet he is.
Well, he likes white cards.
Yeah, but like he knows which white cards are actually good. Like he's really good at identifying those types of things because those are the only decks he plays. So like when it comes to cards like this, I generally like trust his opinion.
I'm not saying the card's not playable, but like he also loved Advent of the Worm and then won a Pro Tour with it, and that card never went above like $1 either.
Yeah,
exactly. I'm not saying this card is great. I'm just saying this card's probably going to see standard play.
Yeah, I along with they also get the Convoke O-Ring for 4 mana. I think that the Craig Wesco type decks seem to actually be set up pretty well.
I wouldn't hate Amara seeing standard play because that's probably
also,
my favorite.
DJ Advent
commander.
of the Worm was expensive, buddy. It's like a $5 card.
What am I thinking of then?
I mean, I don't know. Advent. You're right. He did like Advent of the Worm is a card he won a Pro Tour with, if I remember right.
And that was in Dragon's Maze when there was no good cards.
Yeah, I mean it was.
So something had to be worth money other than voiceover.
It may have been right at the beginning, and then it just died because it is certainly bulk and was bulk for a long time. But it seems like at least through the. I mean, it wasn't bulk forever. It was a solid 6 months where it was worth some money. All right, regardless, there you go. Venerated Loxodon, maybe a reasonable pickup at $1. Again, the cost is very low here. Because a lot of these cards, we're kind of, if you're going to make money on them, it's going to be on a first week breakout sort of thing, you know, on a lot of this stuff. All right, next up, a card I know we're all excited about, Chromatic Lantern. How low?
How cheap? How cheap could this get?
$3.
Oh my god! If this is 3 retail and we can reasonably pay $2 buy list.
Commander Jake. This card is busted as all hell in Commander.
There's no reason not to play it in an EDH deck that's more than one color.
Every single EDH deck, especially since they changed the rules a couple years back, where you can actually make any color of mana.
Yeah, it's the send triplets rule. I love it.
It's also a Gonti rule.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Don't we love to play Gonti? Don't we love to play whatever card in this set, the Mnemonic Betrayal or whatever? Like,
that's a really nice piece of templating they did, I think, on those cards where they let you spend your mana of any kind to take other people's cards and play them.
But as much as we're sort of like, I'm kind of getting over like Gilded Lotus. We're sort of like, I don't know if maybe Gilded Lotus doesn't recover from this printing. Lantern absolutely recovers from this printing.
I think it's going to be 3.
Until it's 7.
Lantern hits 3, and then it goes to like 5.50 or 6 over like a year or 2.
Yeah.
And everyone's going to be like, when did this get expensive? Well, when you were sleeping. So if this is 3 retail, I'll pay 2 buy list all day, and I'll feel real good about it.
Also, you should just pick them up at 3 when it hits 3.
In trade, because this will go up, and then everything else you're trading away is going to go down.
It's also going to be very easy to see when it bottoms out, because it's not going to bottom out and then jump back up like Fetch Lands or something from a Modern Master set. It's just going to bottom out and stay bottomed out for 3 months, and you can get all of them you want.
I have an ongoing bet with one of our Discord listeners about Gilded Lotus, and I cannot wait to win.
Wow, nice humble brag about something you haven't even won yet.
I won my unstable bet with you, and
neat.
I'm still waiting on that.
I remember.
Yeah, maybe we should have bet about Morphic pools because Corbin blew us both out on those lands.
That's true.
He's like, buy Morphic pools at 5. I'm like, you're an idiot. There you go. Sometimes we're right. Even a blind Corbin finds a nut. Or something.
Yeah.
He can find 2 because his eyes face 2 different directions.
Oh, got him.
Man,
all right, Deadeye Navigator. What's the next card?
Yeah, I was gonna say making fun of physical disabilities is.
Is this so funny? When it's a white dude, you're allowed. It's the best.
All right, next up is Ionized. 1 red, 1 blue. Counter target spell deals 2 dimensional spells controller. Jake, is this? Do we care?
That card's sweet. It's easier to cast than like a normal cancel for a lot of decks. It's it's a cancel with upside. I mean, cancel is a better card than Mind Rot in constructed formats, and Blightning was absurd. So, like this card,
sure,
I imagine.
That's the weirdest logic that makes a ton of sense to me.
It does make a little sense. Also, cards like Dissolve.
You just use the transitive property in Magic cards, and it totally it jives. I was like, yeah, you're right.
So the thing is, though, is that obviously cancels type of card that normally fits into a more reactive type of strategy. But if we do see those types of decks, like the invasion block constructed style of I play my 2 mana and 3 mana threats, and then I protect them with removal and counter magic, and attack you until I win. If a deck like that rises to power at some point, then Ionized is going to be really, really good.
Yeah.
I remember those days when they tried to stabilize with a Wrath and you would undermine them for those last 3 points of damage.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's what I'm talking about. You're Mystic Snake people and keep getting them. But with Ionized, one of the things I like also about this type of effect is that I think people fail to realize how much damage people are going to be taking from their lands.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true.
Shocklands just came back to standard, and people will not be afraid to play 8 or 12 of them in their deck, and they shouldn't be. That'll be correct to do. But when people do that, something like this card, happenstance deals somebody 2 damage, suddenly becomes a much greater price to pay.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, I don't really think it goes up much from 250 where it's at now, but those are all excellent points as far as it actually being playable.
Yeah, and I think it is playable. I think that, again, if there's a tempo-ish type of strategy,
right,
this card's awesome.
Well, and something like Dissolve, I mean, we've been playing Disallow for 2 years, or a year and a half, or however long that card's been legal. And yeah, it's not the same, but cards like Dissolve have been played in the past. The 3 mana counter spells that aren't just cancel have seen play, and this one certainly could as well.
Yeah,
all right.
Even Dissipate sees play,
All right. Yeah. Next up, a card I am legitimately very excited about. I'm high on this card. Legion War Boss. It's a new Goblin Webmaster. It's a 2/2 for 3. It's a goblin. It has Mentor. At the beginning of your combat, create a 1/1 red goblin creature token. That creature gains haste until end of turn and attacks this combat if able. So I don't think it's as good as Rabblemaster. I don't think it's as powerful. On the other hand, it doesn't make all of your goblins attack. And it can kind of, Rabblemaster can attack for a lot on its own, but it can't really share its power anywhere, right? Like this card can with Mentor. So I like this card a lot at $3. What do you guys think?
This card's sweet.
Sweet, but I don't want to pay $3 cash on it.
I mean,
why
some
not?
of these $2-3
Where do you think it ends
cards
up?
have to go up, right? Some of these, some of these $2 and $3 cards we're talking about are going to hit and be $5.
I think some of these $17 cards got to come down. I think the Planeswalkers are both trash and they're expensive. So I think the value is going to end up in some of these more.
If you need them to
cards.
play with, buy it. If you're trying to make money, don't.
Okay, well, I guess I can agree that
if you pay $3, then you get it, and then you sell it on TCG for $5.50, and then you lose.
And then after fees, you get $3 back
and then you
out.
make $3.18.
I mean, it's not as good as Rabblemaster is in other formats, but I think in its time in Standard, I think it's a very good 3-drop.
Mm-hmm.
I think there are like very few 1-mana removal spells that interact favorably with it right now that people are going to be playing, beyond just like shock.
Shock,
you know?
yeah. Legion, Wizard's Lightning, maybe.
Yeah, I guess Wizard's Lightning is a thing. And by the way, the fact that Wizard's Retort and Wizard's Lightning exist definitely help Ionize a little bit.
That's true. That's a very good point.
But Legion Warboss, it's a really good card in terms of like pure power level. When just like looking through the set, like this is aces. This is a good one.
Yeah. All right. So I'm in it.
It's a good card. I'm not saying it's a garbage card. I just don't.
I'm in at $3. I don't. I think that most of our listeners, I understand the realities of it's a pre-release. We all understand what happens to the majority of prices. Some are going to hit, some aren't. I think that if I'm pegging cards that are going to go from $3 to have the highest shot of going to 10, which is the only way we can do this, right? I don't know what's going to win the first event and go to $10, but something will. And I think Legion Warboss has a good opportunity to be that card. So I'm high on this card for pre-release weekend.
Hey, even though nobody asked, there are 57 Wizards currently standard legal, but that's going to change when Wizards like Aven Mind Sensor and Champion of Wits and even our old friend Fervent Paincaster rotate out. So
Good point. All right, next up is an actual bulk rare, but apparently a popular one. I know Jason likes it. Quasi-Duplicate.
DJ hates Quasi-Duplicate. I don't know. I think Brutaclad's real popular right now, and I like this in Brutaclad.
I played Temet, and I don't want it.
That's cool.
Yeah, I don't know. I think the card's fine. It's still going to be a bulk rare, though.
It's going to be a bulk rare, but it's also a $5 foil, and that's something to think about. That means EDH players are thinking about it.
Yeah. All right.
Not Temet players, though, guys.
Next up is
again. I think that card could see some standard.
Oh, really? I was just going to skip it because I assumed not. But
no. I mean, I just think that I think there's a lot of depth in this set. Like a lot of these cards we've talked about are not like, oh, this is like a slam dunk good for standard, but like they're cards that like would be the right card if like a certain type of deck existed. And I love sets like that because it means that like people can like go down a lot of different rabbit holes if they want to.
Yeah, I think Quasi-Duplicate's sweet. I don't think it's going anywhere price or standard. It's a sorcery. That's kind of rough, but it is cool. These Jumpstart cards are great. All right.
Yeah, I like Jumpstart as a mechanic because it seems like all the blue and black stuff like is about filling up your yard. So like in like Sultai, in other formats, like if you're dredging real hard, you can not feel too bad about milling some of those utility spells because you can always get them back. Or you can discard something that you want in the yard, stuff like that. Like I like that it's a real graveyard set.
And there are a fair amount there are some of those cards, and we'll probably have more, in the next two sets. The Narcomoeba effect, right? Along with the actual Narcomoeba reprint.
Yeah.
Or original printing, depending on how you look at it.
Just like this whole set for what's happening in EDH makes me like, man, Rakdos Charm just hoses everything.
Well,
you can nuke their yard or get the Selesnya player for like 20 with all their tokens.
Here's a card that kind of plays in that same space. Blood Operative is a 3/1 lifelinker for 3. When it enters the battlefield, you may exile a target card from a graveyard. Whenever you surveil, if it's in your graveyard, you may pay 3 life and return it to your hand. It's $1 right now. I can see why people like it. I don't think it's going to be a standard card unless we get some really weird / sweet graveyard blue-black deck or something, Narcomoeba type effects. We just surveil like crazy and mill yourself or whatever and have fun, but I'm not really...
It's too bad because it's a vampire, but that doesn't even seem all that relevant because none of the vampire decks outside of just standard are going to be surveilling at all.
Well, that's the thing, and I don't think he's playing a standard vampire deck either.
Nope.
But I don't know. Jake, is this playable?
Maybe. Probably not.
That didn't sound great. All right. Now here's
it's relatively popular though. It's on page 1, so it's weird that this this card's selling.
I think there's a lot of people building casual, cheap surveil decks and decks that are themed around specific mechanics using the cheap cards, which is why we saw a lot of the mentor cards early, and then I think we're going to see a lot of the cheaper surveil cards. I think if you like filter this through common and uncommon too, you'll see a lot of just like surveil-based synergy cards together next to Blood Operative. There are people buying like $20 casual decks with 4 of these that are hyping the price up a lot.
And I wouldn't hate actually getting there for 3, even if the creature dies, just to mitigate some of the life loss from Doom Whisper.
Yeah, well, here's one that people were real hyped on, and it's 850 Mission Briefing. Instant speed, blue, surveil 2, then cast an instant sorcery in your graveyard. If you cast it, it gets exiled. So the one thing I will point out with this card is, obviously the Snapcaster Mage comparisons are there. This doesn't target. Snapcaster does. So the one thing Mission Briefing has going for it is that if you Snapcaster, say your Path or whatever, in Modern, somebody can then blow it out with whatever, right? This card, however, does not. So that's the one thing it has going for it. So with that in mind, what do you guys think?
I mean, if you want like a regrowth that's an instant, but that you can't like, you know, be mana efficient over 2 turns with, then I guess you want this card, but it seems like way overpriced to me.
Too.
I really like that.
But people aren't really playing regrowth, they're playing Eternal Witness.
I like
because people
Craig
want
Wesco.
the body, which is why this isn't Snapcaster, because Snapcaster has the body.
I liked the Craig Wesco post where he posted like Eternal Witness next to Recollect and then Snapcaster next to this, and it's like, if that's what you're paying for the body, then
right,
that's just the difference into your power level being a creature. So
yeah.
But this surveils beforehand, so you get a non-zero chance of upgrading the spell you were going to get. But like, I don't think that's worth
it's
the
a
body.
Playable card. I think in some contexts, I don't think
blue
it's
is hard
Snapcaster
too.
Mage.
Blue is significantly harder to cast.
That's true, especially when you then want to cast something out of your yard.
Probably a blue spell out of your yard. Yeah.
Right. For instance, I mean, yeah, and that's a great point. You just think about Modern, right? How often does a Jeskai deck have 6 blue mana or 5 blue mana, right? You need 4 blue mana to Snapcaster or Cryptic, and that's a reasonable thing, but it's not all the time. But you add Mission Briefing, and all of a sudden you just actually can't do that if you have a Sacred Foundry in play, you know?
Yo, but dude, this card could be like a 4 mana remand.
It could be a 4 mana remand.
4 mana remand, yeah.
Well, I will be really annoyed if it goes into, like, say, Gurmag Angler, Death Shadow, Grixis decks, and it just fills their graveyard up more, while also letting them get back their stupid Sovereign Denials on me.
But I mean, how expensive does it have to get before we're like, shit, I wish I'd paid $10?
Oh, I'm not touching this card.
Yeah.
Let's move on. Let's move on. Yeah. Next up is Chamber Sentry. I'm just gonna
more like Chamber Pot Sentry.
Oh yeah, I'm just gonna call bulk. I don't even.
Bulk.
It's yeah.
Yes, this card is bulk.
All right. Next up.
Jason's favorite
Best
card in
card
the
of the
set.
set.
Yeah, this card's so good.
It's not my favorite card in the set, but it's in my top 5 for sure. I love
Craig
it.
Wesco's
this
favorite card in the set.
This card is buy all day. This card is buy all
Night
day.
of Autumn. Let me read the card. Night of Autumn. It's 1 green and a white, 2/1. However, when it enters the battlefield, you have 3 options. Put 2 counters on it. Destroy artifact or enchantment, or gain 4 life. It's $4.50.
Yo, this card in 2 years is going to be $20.
You are not right.
No.
You know, this card is going to be a staple in like every single format. Like this card is absurd. This card, like this is just a card you want in your hand 100% of the time.
Tireless Tracker is not $20.
This card will be more ubiquitous than that, even being. It will be.
Oh, I don't believe you at all. He's insane, though.
I want to shut up, Corbin. I want to believe him. I want to believe that this will be more ubiquitous, despite being 2 colors
and not card advantage. Well,
it's card advantage.
It's sometimes card advantage.
Corbin, what if my 2 favorite cards in Magic started Night of in green white?
Look, I love this card.
Night of the Reliquary. Like this is
no. This card, Night of Autumn, is so very good.
And it will be a modern staple for a decade.
Okay, that's bold. I think.
Oh my God, Night of Autumn is gonna bring back the Liege. It's gonna make the Liege playable again.
Will it leaf Liege? I hope so.
I'm just saying that this card does what it does better than any other card like it. And like Reclamation Sage sees tons and tons of play, and this card just can be a Reclamation Sage, or can just
be a Kitchen Finks,
or it can be a Kitchen. Like this card does what you need it to do.
It's not Kitchen Finks, but it is very.
Or you make it a 6/5 with Wiltleaf Liege out. What?
The card. All right, card sweet. I actually am fine picking it up at $4. I think it's.
I think you trade. You certainly trade for these.
Yeah.
If I open a Planeswalker, I'm like, get me Knight of Autumns.
And it's just like, yeah, this card is at least going to stay stable at this cost.
Yep.
And like, I do not foresee this card going down at any moment. Like there's no world where I see this card going down, except like in the 2 months following when it rotates out of standard, and then it'll just start going up.
Okay. I feel like
thank you so much for saying what I don't know. If you hadn't been on this cast and I'd said some of that shit, I feel like these two would have ganged up on me. So I'm glad you're here.
Well,
they ganged up on me too.
I'm telling him he's wrong. Like, I think it's going to be like $3 to $4.
Yeah, card is very good, but
the set is very good. That's the problem. This isn't Dragon's Maze. Were you on our Dragon's Maze? I feel like you were on our Dragon's Maze episode, and you're like, Voice of Resurgence is real good, and we're like, yeah, whatever.
What? No.
What? Are you sure? Who was our guest on the Dragon's Maze episode?
Everyone
I might have been.
I honestly think Sander, or I guess Anderson, like somebody who was our guest on the Dragon's Maze episode. Anyway,
all I know is I would have never said Voice of Resurgence was a bad card.
I don't think any of us said it was bad, but I didn't think any of us expected it to be like the only valuable card in the set.
Well, yeah, sure. All right, next
Speaking of the only valuable card in the set, Pellet Collector, what?
We had $2.50 for Pellet Collector here. It's a 1/1 green creature for 1. Whenever another creature enters the battlefield or dies, if that creature's power is greater than Pellet Collector's...
Well, I think it has to be your creature, right?
No, it's creature you control enters the battlefield or dies.
Yes.
Not theirs.
As long as it has 3 more counters on it, it has trample. This is cool, I guess. I mean, I'm not like super excited about it. I don't feel like it's going to be $2.50.
How hard? The awkward part is like, when do you play this if you're doing the mono green curve out?
There's all kinds of problems with this card. I mean, even if there's a green white deck that would, I guess the shorthand is called Craig Wesco deck, you could see it, right? I could see it happen, but it's just very unlikely.
No,
I don't think this card's that good.
This card's just like better than Experiment 1 though, and wasn't Experiment 1 like awesome the whole time it was in standard?
With Gruul specifically though, right? Like it was very good. I don't think it's better than Experiment 1 either.
Experiment 1 also...
Experiment 1 was good because you could regenerate it, right?
That and you could play something with higher toughness.
Yeah.
Which I don't know if that mattered a ton, but...
Like, you're right. Experiment 1 was a good card, but it took more than we have now for it to get there.
That's reasonable. Yeah. But this is the type of card that could see play. And, like, I think another thing that's worth noting is that, you know, like, one of the biggest pitfalls of, like, the green aggro deck is that people build their deck in such a way that, like, it's a 10 out of 10 when they have Llanowar Elf, and it's, unplayable pile of garbage otherwise.
Yep.
And, like, having other things that you can do at 1 mana that might do something, like...
I mean, it's also just a horrendous top deck, etc.
It's just the most miserable. But, like, every card in that deck's a terrible top deck.
Yeah. I mean, I think this card's going to be, like... I just... Some of this stuff's got to go up. I don't think it's Pellet Collector. I think Pellet Collector is going to be like $1.50.
The one thing I'll say about this card is, like, I really like Vinemare.
Yes, Vinemare is very good.
And I think Vinemare buffs us all the way up to a 5/5. So, I don't know.
Well, it's the one that can buff it to a 5/5. Yeah.
Well, there's the elf, too. The 3-mana elf. I don't know. I don't play mono green, so, like, I like that you compared it to Experiment 1, but I also don't think I paid near $3 for this, and like I'm ever happy.
Oh yeah, I'm not going to pay $3.
All right, next card. Here's a truly broken card. Doom Whisperer is just a truly stupid card.
5
mana, mythic, flying trample 6/6, because why not?
You want to hear some hyperbole?
Need some more upside. Pay 2 life, surveil 2.
EDH players are saying finally we have a EDH legal Grizzlebrand.
Yeah,
this card's
very dumb.
very good.
It's also $17.
It's not Grizzlebrand. It's very good, but
this card. I watched this card in limited over the weekend during one of the testing sessions at Worlds, and it's just stupid. It's just dumb.
Oh yeah, I mean in limited you get
obviously, but it's just.
Oh, and even if they get a kill spell, you're like, let me think. How much life am I going to pay to set up my next?
Like, I can't even believe that there's no cost. You just pay your 2 life and you do it.
I don't even care about the body in this thing. I'm just playing this in Selenia Dark Angel, which is like kill myself deck, and I'm gonna go to 1 to get my entire library in the graveyard and then win with near death experience.
Yeah, I mean it's $17, so I think it goes down because I think whatever the best build for this is, unless people just start jamming it as a 4-of into all their decks, which is a possibility, I suppose. I think that it goes down from $17. But it could also be the Scarab God and be $30.
Where's this? Where's this end up? 14? Like how far down does it go?
It entirely depends on a deck.
Yeah.
I think this card is like $6 or $7 card.
Yeah. Yeah, like if it is in an actual broken deck somewhere, or it's just the finisher for everything that's good, it could get expensive. But I think at $17, it's more likely that it is a card that is very powerful, but not in every deck, and therefore comes down. All right, next up, Niv Mizzet Perun, $1.50 for this.
I bet it's pronounced Perun.
Whatever.
Pillar of the Peruns.
I'm calling it.
You can summon this with Pillar of the Peruns. How cool is that?
Jake, is this not bulk?
No, it's bulk.
Okay.
It's bulk.
I mean, it's probably the best Niv Mizzet in EDH, but like people, I don't know, a lot of people have the deck built already.
It's like not. It's not.
No, Niv Mizzet #1 is
the combo one has got to be the best.
Yeah.
This is the same combo.
Yeah, it is the same combo. It's just harder to cast.
Yeah, it's way harder to cast. So but like being a good commander doesn't mean the card itself is worth anything anyway.
Card's not worth anything. All right, neither is Zoni.
But it's only actually, you know what? The market price on the foil is only $10. I don't hate that.
These things, and then is the one who talks about it forever. What's the market price on it, Jason?
The market price on the foil is $10. I actually kind of don't hate that if you can trade for them.
Oh my god, I hate that. That's so much.
It's
so rare.
Sony is sweet because like you get to pay
the market price on
for a card that gets beat by Chain Whirler.
Like the market price for foils is generated by like 1 or 2 sales. It's not really an accurate number to go by.
Yeah,
but that's whatever. But when you're trading for it on pre-release weekend, people are going to look it up and they're like, TCG players got it at 6 or whatever.
I mean, yeah, it's actually the only one listed. If we really want I don't even know the only one listed on TCG Player Foil is $14, but it's just just doesn't mean much yet.
No.
All right, next up.
But I'm saying that number existing on TCG Player is going to inform everybody's app,
right?
Because everyone's got that TCG app, and they don't even look at. There's like that's the number that popped up on my screen.
Yeah, but you're the one who said you don't hate it, which means you're telling people to pick it up at that.
I'm saying if that's the number for it. When you're trading for it, I don't hate that.
Okay. I don't want to touch it, any version of it. All right, next up is Zoni Thousand-Eyed.
Why didn't we get a good Golgari commander?
Yeah, this card
I feel like all 8 commanders in this set are just worse versions of ones that already exist, except for the 2 red-white ones that are just garbage. So like, I actually don't feel like, with the exception of like Lazav and then maybe Etrata, I don't even want to build any of these.
Right. All right. So Zoni's bulk.
So we could probably just not talk about the 8 commanders at this point.
Don't act like I know what the commanders are as I'm going through this. All right. Next up is Deafening Clarion.
Clarion.
Very weird card.
Yeah. So 1 red and a white. Choose 1 or both. Sorcery. Deals 3 damage to each creature. Or creatures you control gain lifelink until end of turn. I mean, I will point out that Slagstorm and Anger of the Gods have both been staples in at least a deck in their run in Standard.
Yeah, I mean, this is it's a Fire Spout. It's like a 3-mana card that does 3 damage to all creatures. For decks that are in the market for that, they can cast this. This is a good card.
Yeah, like a Jeskai control deck could maybe play.
Or sometimes it deals you 5 or 6. It gives you 5 or 6 life. The only problem is this would be too good as an instant for sure, right? Like it has to be a sorcery.
Yeah, obviously, yeah.
Which is too bad.
As an instant, you could have an instant speed Wrath, and like that shouldn't be 3 mana.
Yeah. So I don't know. It's $1. Seems right. Next up, Guildmage's Forum we talked about. All right, here's the big one, everybody. Assassin's Trophy. It's only
Guildmage's Forum is it's more expensive, or it's more popular than Assassin's Trophy. So
if you can get Guildmage's Forum at bulkware prices, it's fine. But I would not go out and spend 50 cents cash on them.
I completely agree with that. Yeah. I wouldn't like stock up on them for 50 cents, but like, you know, if somebody's just like leaving them in a pile of cards after their pre-release, right. I would like pick them up and like, you know.
Yeah, and it's one of those that I'll just buy for bulk.
Console of my car for a couple months until I want to play with them.
Right, and it's like Forum seems like the kind of like bulk card that I will buy, even though it's still bulk, you know, as opposed to just pass. And then I'll just have a big pile of them because cards like that, several years down the road, just kind of become a $2 card sometimes, you know. All right, what's next up is Assassin's Trophy, though. I mean, what do you guys think?
Good.
Like, if this is $25 when at peak supply, I'll be a little surprised, but I don't know. Yeah, this is
12 is the peak, and that's stretching it. Like that's a month or two from now.
Only because the set's so good, right?
I don't know. It could be 15.
It's a non-mythic rare. It's in a great set.
Like 12-ish is my.
Vraska's Contempt was very. But you need to basically compare it to Vraska's Contempt, like in terms of how much play you think it's going to see. Because Vraska's Contempt is $14 right now.
Vraska's Contempt, I feel like, was a very specific issue, though, because it was the only card that could deal with a lot of threats in the standard format.
Right, I'm aware. So that's what I'm saying. Is
plus, Vraska's Contempt could be played in blue-black and, like, other controlling decks. Like,
yeah, I agree with
splashing the green makes Assassin's Trophy really...
Yep,
really
but Assassin's Trophy gets played in Modern and Legacy. And
sure.
Probably Vintage, and Vraska's Contempt does not. So, you know, I mean... It's honestly hard to say that this card won't be $15 for a while.
And Contempt bottomed out before it climbed back up.
It did. It started out actually very, very cheap, and then it became very necessary in the metagame.
I mean, Assassin's Trophy is probably the best card in the set, but like that doesn't mean that I want to pay $25.
I'm not paying $25 for it, but I do think that 10 to 15 is going to hold for a while.
If you're going to play with it in a tournament, like in the first couple weeks.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, cards obviously really, 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 really good in a lot of different formats. But yeah, $25 is a lot of money for a Magic card.
Yeah. All right. Here's another one I'm calling way overpriced. Unmoored Ego. 1 blue-black. Choose a card name. Search target opponent's graveyard, hand, and library for up to 4 cards with that name and exile them. So already bad against Relentless Rats, just for the record. That player shuffles their library, then draws a card for each card exiled from their hand this way. So the cool thing is that it can hit lands. It can hit Tron lands.
Tron.
Yep. It can hit Tron.
I mean, we talked about this last week on the cast, right? Like, you said it would be maybe a sideboard card, but like if this is a sideboard card at best, it's like, what, a 2 or 3 of?
Yeah, this is not a...
In a small number of decks, I think the fact that it's blue-black kind of hurts its possible ubiquity. So this is a really, really powerful but super narrow card, and narrow is worse than unpowerful.
Mediocre. Yeah. What do you think, Jake?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, I think this is I think it's a good sideboard card. I think that, you know, whenever we're at stages of, you know, Modern where there are a number of decks that rely specifically on one card,
right. Like KCI, for instance.
Yeah, like you can name, you know, Quarkline Ironworks, and then that deck like doesn't do anything. You can, you know, you can preempt a lot of other things. Also, you could name, you know, like if somebody hasn't played a Valakut yet, you can name Valakut. If somebody has already played their Valakut, you can name like, you know, Scapeshift if they're not the Primeval version. You know what I mean? Like the card. There are a number of applications for this card. It's reasonable, but again, it's just a rare. Like the people who need it are going to be few and far between, and again, they're probably only going to need a couple copies of it. So $2 seems overpriced. It's probably just because it has enough demand of people who want to play it in the first couple of weeks because of what it's going to doing.
Right.
That they're willing to pay $2 in those weeks, but it's going to obviously bottom out after this.
This is a super bulk rare, but I do like it for playability. This is one of the cheaper surgical effects we see outside of like surgical extract. Normally, Slaughter, Games, and Friends all cost 4 mana, but this gets in a turn before that.
Yeah, and that makes a big difference.
Yep.
Especially in World of KCI.
Yep. All right. Next up, Midnight Reaper. It's $1. It's a 3/2 for 3. Whenever another creature, non-token creature controlled dies, so it's 1 damage, you can draw a card.
Pass.
I can see this.
There are cards that do this exact thing already. That
are they knights in a format with a black-white knight deck?
Doesn't that knight deck already have 18 3-drops?
It's got a lot of 3-drops. It's got a lot of 3-drops. But it also has a lot of 2-drops. It depends if the deck had to kind of transform. If they actually go back to playing all 8 of the 2-drop knights, then this card gets a little more appealing. But I think its price is about right at $1. Unless that deck just becomes great. All right.
Can we start skipping until we find cards we like?
Yeah, sure.
I like Response Resurgence. I have a very short list of stuff I like. Response Resurgence is probably the best non-enchantment Relentless Assault effect. This is only a $3 foil. I like Response Resurgence a lot, and my sentiments were echoed on the EDH Recast. I think you probably never want to play Response, but I think Resurgence is so good that you don't care that you have a split card that you're only going to use one half of. So I actually really like Resurgence, and it's a bulk rare. I don't hate it at a bulk rare because I think it could go up, and I really don't hate the foils at $253.
Yeah,
so
the foils
if you wanted to skip around, fine, but don't skip that.
Yeah, this is my preview card. We're definitely not skipping this. Is it?
Oh, your preview card didn't get spoiled by somebody else this time around? That's so cool.
Well, no, but somebody did use my article as a way to complain at Wizards for not turning the card sideways on their page. So all anyone saw was the quote-unquote fixed version and not my article. Next card is Etrata the Silencer. This
Pass.
Neat.
I mean, this is my favorite commander of the set. It's still a bulk rare.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the foil, what's the foil at?
Pass.
You don't want the foil at $1? That's $20? No, thank you.
I don't want the foil at foil commanders aren't worth anything anymore.
Yeah, I agree. All right,
what's
next
foil
up is
Hepatra worth right now? $2 or $3, something like that?
Yeah, you got to get that Japanese foil or something like that.
Well, this is the thing we've talked about. I mean, I think we talked about it a lot with Josh a couple weeks ago, or last week. I don't remember anymore. Yeah, people just switch decks all the time. They don't just have their one commander deck, so foils aren't as much of a thing for the commander cards. All right, Expansion Explosion, just a bulk rare. I don't care about it. Yeah. All right, next up, Aurelia, Exemplar of Justice. So this is pre-selling market price is $9.50. It's a 4-drop with weird stats. It's a 2/5 flyer mentor. At the beginning of combat on your turn, choose up to 1 target creature you control. Until end of turn, it gets +2/0, gains trample if it's red, and gains vigilance if it's white. So, assuming you target itself, it's like a 4/5 mentor vigilance trampling flyer, which could be good, but it's not always that.
I like vigilance on my terrible blockers.
I mean, it's
I love my creatures that can't block for shit to have vigilance.
Block's okay. Jake, what do you think about this card?
I mean, it's weird because if people are playing red removal spells as the primary ways they're killing stuff,
yeah,
then this card
it's very good.
could be a very good card. It's got a 5-butt, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But it attacks for a lot of damage. It attacks for damage basically the turn you cast it also, which is absolutely relevant because of the way that it gives something else trample. But I think that as long as people are casting Chupacabra, a 4-drop that doesn't really do anything the turn you cast it, I get that it gives something +2/+0, but that's not really the type of thing that I'm it requires. It's not like you're gonna get somebody's Planeswalker with that because they're gonna cast it into a clear board anyway.
Yeah. So
it's a 4-mana creature that usually doesn't really do much to turn it enters the battlefield, and cards that cost 4 mana you want to get some sort of value out of, or just like win the game if you untap with them.
Yeah.
And I don't think that this does either of those things. So
definitely coming down from $9.50.
Yeah, it's way overpriced right now.
Yeah,
that's
not unplayable, but definitely overpriced. Next up is Thief of Sanity. Do we care about this thing?
I really like this card.
2/2 flyer for 3. Whenever it deals combat damage to a player, loot top 3 cards of the library. Exile 1 face down, put the rest in their graveyard. As long as it's exiled, you can look at it, cast it, and spend mana on it. So we're any type to cast. Oh, that card's cool.
Yep, but it's not a $2 cool, and it's certainly not $12 foil cool. So
yes, $12 foil, really? Jeez.
Well, that's market price. The listed median is $8.25. So if you can get this for $5 in foil, still no. I really like this card, but like there are too many good cards in the set to be paying that much.
Yeah, it's like a night. I mean, the comparison here is Night Veil Spectre, but Spectre.
Oh, it's way better than Night Veil Spectre.
Spectre had to be.
I guess it doesn't have as big of a butt, and it doesn't do the devotion stuff. That's why Spectre was so good. Was because
right. Also, Spectre, to be fair, had to be in play for you to cast the cards, right?
Yeah.
And this card doesn't.
Yeah. This grants the ability to the cards.
Right. Yeah, this demands a removal spell immediately, and it also gives you card selection. Like this is, once this hits somebody, they're like in a world of trouble.
Yeah.
That's what this has going for it. It's like a 3-drop that it's easy to kill, but if you untap with it, it just gets out of hand so fast.
I view this like Gonti. I view this like Gonti, where Gonti was like close to $1 or so for a majority of the time, just because he was pretty much a guaranteed 2-for-1. And I feel like this is close in that, like, if they don't answer it, then it's a guaranteed 2-for-1.
Yeah.
It's a cool card, but I don't think it's financially all that relevant.
No, yeah, not yet.
Financially, not really that relevant, but really good in a world where a lot of people are playing like night decks, right? Like it's a flyer that will just like bury them in card event.
Right. Yeah. When people are playing shocks, it's not very good. When they're playing knights, it's great.
Yes, precisely.
Yeah. All right. Next up, we hit the first Shockland Steam Vents. Take it away, guys. I mean, where are your thoughts?
I actually don't. It's surprising that Steam Vents is the most expensive. That's probably predicated on other formats more than it is. Because if you're looking at all the popular cards in this set, would make you think Sacred Foundry would be the #1 most popular card.
Yeah, I mean, this is definitely modern.
Steam Vents has always just been the most like powerful.
Yeah, just because blue red gets played in other blue red in other formats, like it's the Sculling Tarn's the most
also,
expensive.
It's like that thing I talked about earlier, where a lot of the people marking up the best selling algorithms are the people buying their like 60 card casual decks that they're super hyped about, and those people are spending $25 max on a deck. They're not buying Shocklands; they're buying Guild Gates.
Right, I agree. Yeah. All right. So I mean, but what do you think? When are we going to see Shocks bottom out?
A month or two.
Okay. Do you think they're going to be able to rebound?
No.
In 2 years?
5 years? They didn't rebound the first time.
They did. Not immediately. I'm saying eventually they did. And I'm asking how long you think it takes this time.
Yeah, we had like 6 years before Steam Vents went from like 5 to like 12. It was great.
Okay. So you think they just shouldn't even mess around picking them up?
They're a trap. No, anybody picking Shocks for financial gain is a trap. Don't do it.
Okay, there you go. I mean, for what it's worth, yeah, I mean, just to look at the chart here, Steam Vents from RTR was bottomed out at $7 in May of 2013. It topped out at $18 in May of 2018. So, yeah, I mean, you made money on it, but yeah, it took literal 5 years, and now we're getting another run of them. So, yeah.
Yeah, like the only other jumps on that were bottom out at 7, and then it climbs to 9 due to standard play, bottomed out at 7, goes to 12, like, due to modern or whatever. So you had to wait around, like, 2 years, even for, like, a reasonable, like, small bump.
So there you go. If you want to pick them up, and I highly recommend anyone who thinks they're going to play Magic for a long time, just get your play set of Shocks now. But you wait a couple months for them to bottom out. All right. Next up, here's a card I kind of like. Underrealm Lich is $4.50. Is this a commander? It's not. It should be. It's a zombie elf shaman, 4/3 for 5. However, if you would draw a card, instead look at the top 3 cards of your library, put one in your hand and the rest in your graveyard, pay 4 life, gains indestructible in a turn, and you tap it.
I would be very surprised if this was not a commander at some point during development, and then the legendary subtype was scrapped because it was miserable to play against. Just the entire concept of like somebody having to choose one of 3 cards every single card draw just sounds miserable. Like, I wouldn't want to play it just because I feel like it'd be insufferable to play against.
I agree. I mean, I don't know that they tested enough. It's also a zombie elf shaman, which means they just can't even fit legendary on the type line, just for the record. But they could have made it a zombie elf or whatever. But I don't think this card would have been very fun. I do think this card could be pretty good in a green-black deck, though. We saw green-black decks that weren't stompy. We saw, for a while, a green-back mid-range deck that was using Llanowar Elves to ramp into things like the Eldest Reborn that were just powerful, and Chupacabras, and just like a Constrictor deck without the Constrictors. Chupacabra! And the Realm Lich could be pretty good there. Jake, what do you think for Standard? Or anywhere else?
I mean, it's a powerful card. I think a card like this is like pretty predicated on what other people are doing. I think it's this card, like its stats are so
bad.
Lackluster for 5 mana, right?
Yeah.
And like the thing is like it's very like a Danto Vanguardy, but like instead of paying 2 mana and getting a 3 power guy with that kind of ability, you pay 5 mana and get a 4 power guy.
Right.
So like while I want to like this card, and like there are a ton of situations where I could see it just making things impossible for the opponent, against my control opponents, they could like settle it or seal away it when I try to attack them. Against my creature-based opponents, like the only way I'm making this thing indestructible is by paying 4 life after I invested 5 mana into this thing.
Yeah.
And like it's just I don't love it. I understand that there are worlds where this is good, like in mid-range worlds.
Yeah.
Like once we're in like the full-blown mid-range world, then this card's sweet. But until then,
yeah,
it's not.
Agreed. All right, next up, Charnel Troll Bulk. I assume everyone agrees with that.
It probably stays there too.
Yes, for sure. Ritual of Soot. 4 mana. What is this? 4 mana, 3 mana. How much does this thing cost?
Okay, so
4 mana.
Here's why
sorcery.
I like this less than its white equivalent, which is Citywide Crackdown or whatever.
Yeah.
Citywide Crackdown rewards you for doing stuff other people aren't doing. Other people are trying to play bigger and bigger creatures and just like get there and play big stuff. But you're like, hey, I'm keeping a low converted mana cost. I'm built around this. I'm gonna play a bunch of knights and stuff like that. Mentor up, Citywide Crackdown all your big stuff, and then get there with my little stuff that I've had the whole game. Ritual of Soot destroys small stuff, and then after like turn 4, when they've got a bunch of big stuff anyway, I don't think it's that good. I don't like this.
I like this card a lot.
For what format?
Standard.
It's Citywide Bust, right? Did you say Crackdown?
I did. It's Citywide Bust.
It's Citywide Bust.
Oh, Crackdown's such a. I could see why it would be harder to template though. All right. I was thinking Consulate Crackdown.
Yeah,
I like this card a lot. Where like you're playing. Like I feel like most decks that this answers aren't playing a ton of 4-drops anyway. Like this answers all the low to the ground knights, and then if they manage to get a couple 4-drops out, you have spot removal that you can save to deal with that. This isn't just your only answer.
It just feels like a Yeheni's.
This is probably Mutilate, right? This is it's just like Mutilate or Vanquish.
Was like $5 or $6, wasn't it? Like Languish was a reasonable price.
Languish, not Vanquish. Yeah, yeah, you're right.
The card's fine.
Yeah. All right.
Languish
next up
was it peaked out at like $8 or $9.
Woo! Really?
I mean, I don't think this is as good as Languish.
No, it's not as good as this, but I think this is a very good card to pick up at $1. Like
it's also a very different world than Languish lived in.
It is. But like I think that any standard player who is even thinking about building any sort of black-based control deck should pick up their place out of this at $5 right now.
Well, that's good. I mean, you're right. Maybe Boros is really good, and this is the card you beat Boros with.
No, like there's very few cards. I know I'm traditionally the guy who's like, oh, every card in the set is shit. Like sell it.
Yeah.
But, like this is a card where I'm like, buy it.
Okay, there you go. It's a strong. Yeah, and I think about it. I mean, you're right. Like if Boros is a good deck, this card is going to wipe their board. So. All right, next up, Amara, Soul of the Accord. It's $1 right now. I'm assuming bulk here. whenever it becomes tapped, you create a life-linking soldier. It's probably like, I mean, this is the one I want to use to convoke out the 4-drop we talked about, or 5-drop we talked about earlier.
That elephant, yeah.
The life-linking soldiers, again, if we think that red decks are going to be good, life-linking soldiers could be pretty important. But
just I want to build around Amara, but like I just can't make myself not play Reese or Old Tristani. Like if you're trying to do this, it feels like every legend they weren't comfortable with making legendary creatures that wouldn't be good in standard or whatever. So they just kind of made them bad versions of stuff that already existed. So I don't want to build around any of the stuff in this set, except maybe Lazev, and that's sort of boring to me. But I like Amara. Like, I really, honestly, almost wish they'd reprinted Glare of Subdual for this card.
Jake, is this card standard playable?
Yes, card standard playable.
How good do you think it is?
So I think it's pretty decent. I mean, the Convoke O-Ring is like a really exceptionally powerful card.
Yes.
And that only costs like 4 mana, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And like this works well with that. This is also just, it's the type of card where when you cast it, your opponent either has to not attack you or play a removal spell on it. So, like, in that way, it's really good on turn 2. I just think it's a decent card. It's weird because, like, you don't really want to play that many legends in your 2 slot because you don't want to, like, have draws where you draw, like, multiples of this and then, like, can't get them going. Though, if you have one going, like, that you're just, like, attacking with freely, like, I guess it doesn't really matter if you have one stuck in your hand because
you're in a good spot.
Such a
you'd absolutely love to trade this with something and then replay another one. Yeah.
I can see this actually maybe going up from $1 to like $2. I just don't think it's going to explode.
Yeah. I don't see this being worth a ton of money, but I do think this will see standard play again.
Yeah. Like, it seems like there's a lot of pieces for this deck we're talking about, right? There's Land of War Elves if you want that as your 1-drop. There's this at 2. There's Convoke O-Ring. There's the 5-drop thing we talked about. There's a lot of pretty solid stuff here. History of Benalia might go in this go wide deck. It's if go wide green white type strategies are good, it could be pretty good.
Oh, if you're going wide, then tapping a bunch of these 1/1 tokens to convoke that elephant could be really sweet when they're 2/2 lifelinkers.
Yeah.
That you got for 0 mana.
Yeah. All right. Next up is Bounty Agent. I'm just calling bulk on this thing.
It's bulk, but I really like how it plays in other formats. But yeah, it's bulk.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. Firemind's Research, bulk. Dream Eater.
Probably.
I really like Dream Eater, but I'm an EDH player.
All right, so Dream Eater is a 6 mana 4/3 flash flyer. When it enters the battlefield, surveil 4, which is a million cards to surveil.
That's so good.
When you do, you may return target non-land permanent an opponent controls to its owner's hand. So, guys, I learned something about how cards like this work, by the way. There's something called a reflexive delayed trigger with these cards that have this templating.
I thought I was out of fucking school. God damn it.
Yeah, it's like my new favorite Magic rules term. I think it might just be a reflexive trigger, but it's also a delayed trigger. It's weird, right? So
it's a reflexive trigger and a delayed trigger.
Yeah, it's very weird. It's literally its own new thing. So what it means
there's some like L3 listen to our cast like, Jesus guys, I can't believe everyone doesn't know about reflexive.
Well, that's why
trigger.
I talked to L3s to get this. So, but this is this is somewhat new wording over the past year or so. So the way this works for anyone who's curious, you do not have to choose the target until you are done resolving the ability. So you don't, usually you would have to choose a target at the beginning. You don't have to do that with these reflexive triggers. You surveil 4. When you do, you then target. And it's a thing that goes on the stack at that point.
So they don't get to...
You can't fizzle. So it's less relevant to this one, I think, because it's a creature, but there are other cards, and I don't remember the ones escaping me offhand that brought this up. It's Hypothesisal. You don't choose the target for that ability until after you've done whatever it is. So in this case, you surveil 4, then you choose a target for that ability.
That's cool.
So if you surveil an answer for one of their other creatures to the top, then you can choose to bounce a different thing.
I mean, that's not insanely relevant, but like any information you get,
card, but it is something that people have had a lot of questions about. So I figured I'd clear it up.
This is I think you buy a playset of.
Well, it seems it's not great with any legend in this set, but like it's really good with every legend in Commander 2018, right? Like,
sure.
I think you buy one.
Surveilling 4 with Aminatu's nuts. Like, yeah, I mean, at $3, this seems fine. No. And it's only like an $18 foil, too.
That's
not that I like the foils.
That's a lot. Jake, what do you think about this card? Is this the new Torrential Gearhulk? 6 mana flash.
I mean, the card's good. It's not as good as Torrential Gearhulk.
No, I didn't think it would be.
Like the thing that I really like about it is that it's traditionally flash creatures with evasion, things like that, happen to be like really good against planeswalkers, and this is especially good in those situations because instead of like even when the planeswalker has a trillion loyalty, like you have a way to like bounce it, so you don't like have to get this flashed out like underneath like a veil of counter magic or anything like that. One thing that sucks is that it's only got a 3-but. There are going to be a lot of like incinerate type effects. I think Lightning Strike is a really good Magic card, and people are going to play it. Surveil 4 is sweet. Like against non-red decks, this thing's awesome because you just you set up all your answers perfectly. You have a 4-power thing just cracking at them. You return their thing to their hand.
So what do you think at $3? Is this something that people are playing 1 or 2 of in their decks, or is it 3 or 4 of?
I think it's something people will play like. I mean, it really all depends. Like, I think if everybody's playing Teferi, this thing is sweet.
Yeah. I think there's going to be a lot of Teferi.
Well, I think it's going to be a lot of Goblin Warboss or whatever, Lightning Strike type decks too.
Warboss, yeah.
Whatever, man. I'm not on this podcast to correctly remember the name of a card I said 20 minutes ago.
So I think this card's a fine buy at $3. It's a mythic, right?
Okay. Yeah. It's a mythic.
I've been internally debating this for the past like 5 minutes, and I think you buy it $3. I think you buy a playset at $3.
I think I can get behind that, just as a risk-reward thing, right? Even if we're wrong, the card does nothing, the metagame doesn't come together for it.
I mean, it's also halfway down the popularity of the set at $3. That seems fine to me.
You go down, you get hosed if it's not good, but if it is good and it's $10,
how bad do you get hosed? If it's not good, it's still like $1.52.
You have a long time for it to get good.
Yeah. All right, next up, this is one I like, Nohide Ferox. It's $8. This card's crazy. It's a 4-mana 6/6, no trample, but it is hexproof. It says you can't cast non-creature spells. If a spell or ability an opponent controls causes you to discard Nohide Ferox, put it onto the battlefield. And it has a 2-mana ability. It loses all abilities till end of turn. Any player may activate it. So you can make it lose all abilities, which makes it not hexproof if you want to cast a non-creature spell. Your opponents can pay 2 mana if they want to destroy it with a removal spell.
Card's super cool design, but
in the right deck, it's absurd.
Well, Mono Green Stompy's a deck. Is that the right deck for it?
Does this want to be a sideboard card or a main deck card? I think that's the question.
It's a main deck card.
So I think this is a main deck card. I think that I think Mono Green Stompy is no longer a deck for what it's worth.
Okay.
I think that without Heart of Kiran, without like good driving vehicles, the deck becomes awful because like you no longer can beat just like board sweeping effects, like beating the combination of
and you lose Scrounger too.
And like you don't have Scrounger, you just don't have a good way to beat like a cleansing.
Although to be fair,
without
Cleansing Nova is the only one. Is that? I mean, that's like not a very exciting wrath.
I think it'll see play though.
I think it's probably going to have to, but I mean, it's not the wrath you want to. You wanted to play Fumigate. I think Settle the Wreckage is at least.
We still have Settle.
Well, that's the thing though. Settle. the 1-2 punch of Settle Fumigate was the problem. You could beat Settle and you could usually beat Fumigate. You could never beat not knowing which one of them they have, or they just have them both. I think if it's just Settle, then you can beat, if that's the thing, you can beat Settle. So, is Cleansing Nova good enough at 5 mana for those decks to play it? I think, and then the answer to that question informs whether or not Mono Green Stompy and No-Hide Ferox is good.
Yeah, I mean, this is the type of card where, like, it's, like, super frustrating for it to exist, because I can imagine, like, a whole lot of games where my opponent's just like, here's my 6/6 hexproof, and, like, my removal spells are, like, Contempts that cost 4 mana,
Yeah.
and I just get, like, crushed by this thing. And it's, like, super frustrating, and I'm like, man! And then, like, pay my 2
making
mana,
people
and I'm
discard?
finally able to kill it. So I'm, like, finally able to pay my 2 mana to kill it, and then, like, that means they're allowed to cast, like, their, like, hexproof spell or whatever.
Right.
But, like, not that I'd really be playing... I don't know if you even play spells with it, which is super weird. Like,
Well, that mono green deck doesn't play mini, so...
yeah, I mean, getting spells stranded in your hand seems like it sucks real hard, but this card also, like, while it's on the board, seems like it's probably just crushing people. So
Yeah, it feels like if you play it, unless your opponent... Like, it's actually probably worst in the mid-range-ish matchups where they can just block it forever, Like, against Control, it's a must-answer card, and you're either going to win with it and then be able to cast your spells, or you're going to be able to win, you don't need to cast your spells, or they're going to kill it, and then you can. So, I don't...
Well, how are you playing this for free? Like, what in
probably
standards
not.
making people discard anything?
You're probably not.
they're going to Angrath you.
That's
right.
I mean, to be fair, that card has seen a little play. You could get Angrath.
I don't hate Angrath.
So it's $8. I don't like picking it up at $8, but
Nicole Bolas makes you discard.
Pass at 8.
People are going to play Nicole Bolas for sure, right?
Doesn't
That's-
Bolas exile cards? Or oh no, you mean the 4-mana one?
Yeah,
that's true.
Rapture.
That is likely to be played.
He means the standard legal one.
No, oh yeah,
Yes.
you're right. It is rotating. God damn, everything's rotating.
No, it's not. It's legal.
No, I was thinking when he mentioned
he was thinking Bolas, the other Bolas
God,
from the Amica
Let's see.
block.
God Pharaoh. Okay. No, that's a very good point. Actually, is that this card is an absolute beating against Bolas. Just for the record. All right. Next up, Find Finality. My other preview card. This card's cool. It's bulk though. Yeah. All right. Narcomoeba. It's a rare. Lol.
I don't. Do you think?
Oh man.
What from the next set could make Narcomoeba a real card? Because I don't really.
Nothing. It's already bulk. It's a bulk rare forever.
It's not a real card, man.
Yeah, but like we're getting
rare.
Simic, and we're getting what else are we getting with blue? Nothing. Just Simic in the next block.
What does that
It
matter?
already existed before this.
Simic and Azorius. Yeah, there's not going to be anything in the next block that
It doesn't matter.
Why
It's
are we
still-
talking
it's still
about this?
Narcomoeba, man. Yeah, it's no good. All right, next up is Mausoleum Secrets.
It's not a great tutor, but
Search your library for
personally
black card
like
with
it.
CMC less than or equal to number of creature cards in your graveyard. Yeah,
it's a terrible EDH tutor, but I like it in 75% decks, but like no one gives a shit
it's
about
an
that.
instant
I think.
too, which is kind of cool.
What? I didn't even notice that.
It's an instant.
Oh, it's an instant. Cool. But like it's a little narrow. I like that it's a face-up tutor, but like everybody just is going to play Demonic Tutor for 2 mana and not have to worry about.
Well, no one's
Them there.
replacing Demonic Tutor with this. That's not. The
Yeah, right. I mean, you might replace Diabolic Tutor, but that doesn't mean you want to pay $3 for this.
It can't get your Cabal Coffers or your Urborg, but it can go get your Doomblade when you really need one. Yeah. All right. It's $3, which is high to me.
That's probably where it'll end up.
Next up is Browbeat.
Max.
Browbeat with buyback, risk factor. Browbeat with jumpstart specifically, I guess.
I think Jumpstart is like the only thing that makes me even take a second look at it, because I'm like, Browbeats are bad, but I'm like, ooh, what if you could Browbeat?
You know what? I did actually have this happen to me in Limited, where my Boros opponent had me at like 14 and then shocked me or something with some sort of spell, and then risk factored, and I couldn't give him the card, so I just took.
How did Browbeat feel? How did
it did not feel good. It did not feel very good. That said, the card's $3, and it's not going to be $3 forever. It is an instant, though. All right. March of the Multitudes.
I like this card.
is next. So
I was not on this card very highly until I talked to Ed from
it's
Cartel
at most
Aristocrats.
2 of though, right? Like it's not like a card.
I don't know.
People aren't going to play a ton of it, and I guess people could play a ton of it in that green-white deck we talked about.
Like
but
the second one, the second one gets powered by the first one though, which I like a lot.
I think this card's kind of good.
Like it is really good.
Secure the Wreckage has been getting played. This puts lifelink on them.
Your third and fourth copies of this, when you draw them, are better because you played
should have won the game by
more
then,
of these. Are like maybe, but like this breaks like
maybe, but you're playing a bunch of stupid 1/1s. So how are you going to win the game, Corbin?
But like if you're in the mid range matchup and you're just trying to outgrind each other, and you get like in that situation where it's like, oh, you have 4 creatures, well now I have 12. Like,
yeah.
This card,
you cast this, untap, and play Camaraderie.
Well, the nice part is that it is an instant, so
yeah.
It's actually, if it was a sorcerer, it would just straight be unplayable because of Chain Whirler. You can at least get a swing in.
I was just shrugging like, whatever on this, and then I think this is a card where you hedge your bets and throw a 20 down and get your playset.
Wow, okay. I don't think...
Wow, he's calling this a buy at 5. DJ never says buy anything during the set review.
Yeah, I'm not calling
there's a few cards I like.
This.
I'll call it a buy at 5. I like this card. I don't know, man.
It's either a 0 of or a 4 of. It's a gamble, but it's a card where I feel like the risk is.
I actually don't think it's a 0 of or a 4 of. I just don't even think that's true. I think it's like it could easily be a 2 of.
Maybe, but
Jake, what do you think?
I still like it.
What the March of the Multitudes?
Yeah.
I mean, it seems like the whole thing is like Secure the Waste type cards are generally good as like ways for control decks to like pressure other planeswalkers
to use their mana. Yeah.
And so this is kind of like like this type of card feels like it's pulling me in different directions, and that's one of the problems is that like it's a card that encourages us as the aggressor in the majority of our matchups to be not attacking our opponent, right? So then like what happens is like So then, like, we don't attack and we pass, and then they're like, well, he obviously has March of the Multitudes, so instead of, like, playing anything on their turn, they just pass back, and they, like, leave a counter mana for March of the Multitudes. Or if they, like, Wrath, like, yeah, you can March of the Multitudes in their end step, but now you're not going to get to Convoke into it, so, like, what are you getting, like, 3 power for 6 mana? You know, it's like, it doesn't, like, this type of card isn't good in the type of deck that this card is built for.
Right. I agree with him that in the mid-range matchups it would be very, very good where you hit a board stall by turn 4 or 5. But...
Yeah, that's what I was picturing this for, is like the Craig Wesco deck where you're just trying to like...
But I think it's just a sideboard card at that point. And then I don't even know if it's a sideboard card you want. Like...
I mean, it's like a card that encourages you to play a deck that's really, really bad against Goblin Chain Whirler.
Yeah, that's true. All right. Okay, next up is Beast Whisperer. 2/3 for 4. Glimpse of Nature whenever you cast a creature spell, draw a card. What do you guys think? It's an elf. It's $1.50.
It's fine. I think
people are certainly going to try it. Combo elves is a thing in Modern. This could be a thing.
I mean, I am happy about having something besides Guiltleaf Archdruid to try to combo with in Modern. I think that, this card, I don't think it's worth $1.35. I think it's going to become bulkish, but this is the kind of card that I'm likely going to put this in, like, a Cloudstone Curio Modern deck.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
And I'm going to be, like, killing people on, turn 3 with it.
I mean, just the ability in an elf deck to chord for this card and then start trying to go off in those Cloudstone Curio builds is, like, a real thing. I mean, this is an effect I don't think that the deck had access to an effect like this for this little mana before, outside of playing weird stuff and stretching mana like Beck Call. And this is an actual elf too.
Yeah, I completely agree with everything you just said. Yeah, this is.
Right, so I think it's worth keeping. I
have played Guiltleaf Archdruid in Modern decks and trophied Modern leagues with that card, and that card is a significantly worse version of this card. So
Guiltleaf Archdruid? You're talking about the one that steals lands?
No, that's
No, that's Guild of Ravnica Druid. I just looked it up.
Oh, wow.
What are you talking about?
Yeah, that's...
It does both of those things, Corbin.
That's funny.
I played that card as a casual.
Wow, okay.
All I've ever done is stolen their lands by tapping 7 elves.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that's when you play a druid. Gosh, when you play a druid spell, you draw a card.
Yeah, it does both things.
Yuck, all right.
Well, so many of the elves are elf druids anyway.
Right.
That makes sense.
Yeah. All right, next up is Omnispell Adept Bulk.
This is one of the most hyped cards in the set. I'm really surprised to see it this far down on the depth chart. Like, it just... can we call this Spellvish Piper?
I'm just going to call it the card that makes me play my Expropriate a couple turns early.
Right? I love this card so much. It just... oh, man.
This is actually one I do like getting foils of once they get cheap. Not at the 12.
Below... it's already... the listed median's already 10. So, like, if you can get, like, a $6 foil on this, I don't even hate it.
The ones listed, I'm seeing 8, 14, and 14 on foils, and a $7 foil. Shadow Fireball's selling 5 $7 foils of this card. 8 with shipping. So, if you really want one, go for it. But I think the foils end up being... I think most of the foils and stuff like this go way down. But I do like it long term.
Read the flavor text. She memorized every arcane text in the library by the time she was 16. Now she quizzes sphinxes in her spare time. Non-legendary.
That was the whole point of that? So it's not a legendary
Yeah, man,
creature?
I really think they templated this as a legend early, and they're like, nope, that'll make EDH miserable. I don't know.
I like your belief that they put this much thought into EDH, and I don't know that
I like the belief that they put this much thought into
carefully crafted nugget of EDH-ness.
If there's one thing I know about Wizards, it's how good they are at balancing cards and how they really think through the implications in other formats. Like, no.
Okay, this is called Valakut, the Molten Pinnacle. It's got a name, and it's called the Molten Pinnacle. Non-legendary.
You're proving our point.
They don't know what they're doing.
They clearly know what they're doing. Think about how great the game is, and how long it's been this good.
I know. This is the best card game. If you don't like it, go try to play Yu-Gi-Oh! For a month. You'll be back.
The point is, I don't think this was ever legend. I think I think few people in R&D...
Just let me have my flavor text-based conspiracy theory, all right? Can you just let me have that?
You got it. Next up is another bulk rare called Connive and Concoct.
Yo, this card is fire.
I love Concoct, man. Awesome. I love it.
Alright, I guess I'll read it.
Awesome on a number of levels.
Sorcery for 4 mana, right? Turn my head sideways here, yep. Gain control of target creature.
Gain control of target Tarmogoyf.
Concoct, surveil 3, then return a creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield for 5 mana. I mean, that seems playable. Seems like a fun commander card, but it's just not.
I think it's a little bit underrated. Yeah, I really like it, and I called this a top 10 card in the set of my commander review today.
All right, Jake, I
don't like Connive in EDH, obviously, but I think Connive is not super bad in Modern per se.
I think Connive is a very reasonable spell to be casting. If your opponent's spending 2 to 4 mana on a creature and then you're 2 for wanting them, that's insane. That's awesome. If anybody plays Aurelia in the entire universe, this card just completely blows them out 10 ways till Sunday. And the fact that you can
it's power 2 or less, not CMC 2 or less. Yeah. I'm sorry.
Yeah. And then the fact that it also even just control magicking whatever their 2-drop is for 4 mana is a really powerful play, especially considering the amount of Vigilance that's around. I think that you 2-for-1 them, and you often take a 2-drop that's going to trade with another one of their 2-drops, so you're spending 4 mana to deal with 4 mana, and you're getting a 2-for-1 out of the deal. And then the Concoct side of things, that can cheat things into play. If you have any sort of looting effect or anything like that,
Doom Whisperer,
into play a turn early.
Yeah.
And there are a number of powerful things that you could drop onto the battlefield, and 5 mana to put something that costs more than 5 mana to play, or that costs 5 mana to play, is a reasonable card for a split card to have. This card's good against this card's good against like fast aggressive decks because of the front end, and it's like good as like a haymaker mid game card against like mid range decks because of the back end. So I think this is just like a good card, and I think it's if blue black is like a deck people are playing this card, we'll see play.
All right, there you go. So at 50
I only
cents,
like 2 split cards in the set, and this is the other one.
At 50 cents, you may as well give it a shot then. All right, Experimental Fury's up next, 85 cents.
Experimental Frenzy.
Experimental Frenzy, sorry. This is a cool one.
Honestly, I think my favorite thing to do with this is donate it to somebody with like Zedger or Harmless Offering.
You may look at the top card of your library anytime. You may play the top card of your library. You can't play cards from your hands.
Bulk rare.
4-man destroy. Definitely bulk rare.
No, you play Uba Mask. You go handless tribal.
Bulk rare. It's fun though. It's a fun card.
Oh yeah. But I mean, like, what was the other one? Like, I don't even know.
It's bulk rare.
The one from like M12 where
it was a bulk,
couldn't play lands or some
bullshit.
bullshit. Yeah, it was a bulk rare too.
All right.
Yeah.
Vraska Golgari Queen's up next. It's 4 mana, 4 loyalty.
It's bad.
+2, you can sacrifice another permanent if you do gain a life draw card. -3, destroy non-land permanent, converted mana cost 3 or less. -9, you get an emblem whenever a creature you control does combat damage to a player, they discard or they lose the game. So the one thing to say about this card is everyone looks at it and is underwhelmed by it for good reason. But 6 mana is a lot of loyalty on a 4 mana plan. 6 loyalty is a lot of loyalty on a 4 mana planeswalker.
Yeah, I mean it does. It has a lot of loyalty.
It sounds like you're not.
Like, I'm not like thrilled with it because like it's like, oh man, it jumped to 6 loyalty. Now my opponent can,
this
either choose to attack it or just like ignore it. Like I think like the one reason the -9 is dangerous because people will just be like, oh, there's a Vraska, and just like keep attacking the opponent, like not even.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like.
Yeah, this card is definitely.
I don't know. Like I'm not.
I don't like this or Rouse there. I kind of hate both Planeswalkers in this set.
Yeah, pass.
And I kind of like. I don't know.
All right, next up, Lazav the Multifarious or something. Blue black 1/3. Whenever it enters the battlefield, reveal one, or surveil 1. X mana, it becomes a copy of target creature card in your graveyard. We convert mana cost X. Except its name is Lazav. It's legendary in addition to its other types has this ability. This is a cool build around card.
I mean, it's cool.
Like
it's cool.
It's not good.
It's probably the best like legendary creature in the set, but like who cares? Like it's already made every card that's gonna.
Legendary. Isn't that Burrows legend, the 3/2?
For EDH, man.
Oh, okay.
I think
Tajik
Tajik. Yeah, for standard, absolutely Tajik is the best. But like, in terms of finance, I think this has already made all the obvious cards spike. And I wrote about this last week on MTG Price. If you want to check that out, like I think there are a few secret cards that Lazav can make go up, but like, I don't think it's gonna influence a ton. I don't think it influences standard at all. Like I like where it's at price wise.
Yeah,
I think it matters more as a card that's gonna boost the prices of other cards than its own price.
Yeah, Jake, just assume that every sentence Jason always says for EDH just tacked onto the end. Like, honey, let's go come to bed and try to make another kid for EDH. Honey, let's go do the dishes for EDH. I got this. I'm drinking this Founders here for EDH, and
I'm sorry. Why am I on this fucking podcast? Otherwise, we need 4 people to talk about
he is
standard.
Here to talk about EDH. He is here.
I'm DJ. I'm the popper expert. Let's talk about bulk nickel cards that you pick out of bulk. Like, come on, man.
All right. Next up is Arc-like Phoenix. It's a 3/2 flying haster for 4. Can I say that this?
What
Phoenix...
did you throw your mic? Are you throwing trash at me, DJ?
Can I say that this Phoenix is bad, Jake?
Oh shit! It's a Phoenix even he doesn't like.
This Phoenix sucks. All right.
Next is Citywide Crackdown.
Yeah. Citywide Bust at $1. This card's
Pass.
cool, right? This is the toughness 4 Greater Wrath.
Yeah, sell it.
Yeah. All right.
It's a second copy of Retribution of the Meek.
Sure. Dawn of...
Except it's not good in like the Doran and Arcades decks.
Sure.
So
seems bad. All right. Dawn of Hope is up next. It's a 1 and a white enchantment. Whenever you gain life, you may pay 2 colorless. If you do, draw a card. 4 mana, create a 1/1.
It's good, but it's too mana intensive.
So here's the one thing I'm going to ask about this card. Haven't we seen previous weird, bad cards that interact with life gain be worth money. Like, I can't think of one off the top of my head, but I feel like it's a thing.
What's that card that like you like made morph creatures off the top of your deck, and then like you life?
Oh shoot!
Unseen Mastery.
It was Mastery
of the Unseen.
Yeah,
Mastery of the Unseen. Yeah, I mean this feels pretty Mastery of the Unseen-y to me, like not quite as much.
But that's backwards. That was like when you did a thing, gain life. This is when you gain life, do a thing, which means instead of like gaining life incidentally by developing your board, you're developing your board by gaining life.
And you just put
which means you have to play a bunch of life gain shit in your deck, which is
what's
not
the
as
card
good.
when you gain life you can pay to put counters on creatures equal to the life you gain?
Cradle of Vitality.
Cradle of Vitality.
That was worth money, right? At some point?
It reached like $1 or maybe $1.50 at its peak.
I mean, I feel like that got reprinted before it could ever reach its potential.
I'm not like excited about this card. I'm just saying like it's a card that like it's not worth completely writing it off.
Right.
As opposed to Ral, is it Viceroy, which is worth writing off completely.
Oh yeah, that's one of the worst planeswalkers I've ever seen.
Yeah, it's real.
They're
bad.
like, we don't even need good planeswalkers in this set.
It's just not. It's not
Yeah, it's.
But like if you could kill a planeswalker with its -3, it might be like cool in some way. If you could like dome somebody for 12 with it in like a Thought Scour deck, that'd be sweet. But like you can't. You can only hit creatures.
It's very bad. All right. Next up is Assure and a Symbol, which is a bulk rare.
It's garbage.
All right. Now here's one worth talking about: Divine Visitation. Interesting that so far.
I'm really surprised Divine Visitation is this low on the popularity chart, because it just seems like every EDH player is like super bonkers about this card.
5 mana. Anytime a token will be created under your control, you get a creature token. You get that many 4/4 white angels instead. People are brewing.
You're upgrading every single thing that makes 1/1s. It's this
is incredibly good in Commander.
This gets very cheap and then it slowly climbs up.
Yeah, well, I think you're right about that. I think it's like $9 out the gate, but like Standard players clearly don't give a shit about it. Yeah. Look how
I'm not touching this card for a while, but I do love it when it gets cheap. Is it going to be? Could you play a card like this in Standard, Jake?
I mean, it looks pretty bad. I mean, it's 5 mana. It doesn't do anything.
Yep, I agree.
Like, I
understand.
5 mana, and then I say go, and like I didn't do anything to the board. Like that's like
Yeah, I was trying to talk people down at my store from this one the other day. They were like, "We'll play Doom Descender and Yavimaya Shepherd and all these."
Oh no, they were talking about trying to play this in Standard,
and I was like,
no.
I felt so bad because I was just the guy being like, "All of your ideas are bad." I want to.
No, you play this in EDH where you play Assemble the Legion and this, and you make it 4/4, then 2 4/4s, then 3 4/4s.
You play this in.
What's better than paying 5 mana to do nothing? 10 mana to do nothing. The core of EDH.
I mean, this card is legitimately going to be very, very. It's just going to be a must kill in EDH against a green-white deck, for the most part, anyways. Because all it takes is one Incept secure the waste, and somebody just dies.
Yeah, right. I love that.
All right, it's definitely coming down in price, though. All right, next up is Camaraderie.
That's a bulk rare.
It seems to be the bulkiest of rares. Okay.
1,000-Year Storm is a
Hey, someone called this the Selesnya, fuck, what's that called? Whatever.
Neat.
Who cares about this?
Next up is 1,000-Year Storm. Now, this is an interesting one. It's pre-selling.
This is my favorite card in the whole set.
So, see, there's the two varied reactions. It's 6 mana. It's $3.50. Whenever you cast an inner sorcery, copy it for each other instant sorcery you've cast before this turn. You may choose new targets. I also think this card is trash.
I don't like this card.
So you want to know what? You want to know what the only thing better than spending 5 mana and not affecting the board at all is?
Paying
spending
6
mana, not affecting the board at all.
Yeah.
My other big problem with this is that when you if you play this with 6 mana available, people will kill you.
Yes.
Like you don't get to untap with this ever.
Right. Yeah, like if you're playing an actual Storm deck, if you have 6 mana, you probably have enough mana to win the game without this. And if you're just trying to tap out for this in any other format and then get the turn back, you're just gonna die. Trash.
Meanwhile, in EDH, you have Swarm Intelligence and Sunbird's Invocation and all kind of crap just like this. It's already in that deck, and I can't wait.
Yeah. Then you get to pay 18 mana to do nothing. Woo!
You play this for free off Narset or Jaleva. So
we're playing Narset and we're not taking it extra. We're not just winning that. No one plays Narset because no one likes them.
No one plays Narset for the value, dude.
Yeah.
They play Narset for the 1,000-year storm ability.
Yeah, okay. All right, next up is Tristani Discordant. This is an interesting one. I had this in a draft deck. 5 mana, 1/4. Other creatures you control get +1/+1. When enters the battlefield, create 2 1/1 lifelinking soldiers. At the beginning of each end step, or beginning of your end step, each player gains control of all creatures they own.
Well, that's bullshit, huh? I think you should be able to keep the creatures that you steal.
Well, I mean, I think this is a targeted, not even targeted. I mean, this is a commander card that has an effect that isn't seen on many creatures. That's where it's aimed.
I was playing Gonti against a friend's deck, and they had Homeward Path out, and I was like going into the tank for so long, just trying to figure out how to play against this one card. And then I finally figured out the win condition and killed them, and then I realized Homeward Path doesn't actually hit non-creatures. So I could have stolen the rest of his stuff at any point. I was like, man, I can't play this Zendikar Resurgent, so I can't ramp as fast as I want. I can't play his Signets. I can't do anything. He'll just take it all back. And then I realized I could have just taken all of his stuff.
Nice work. Yeah, this is it's a neat card, but meh. All right, next up.
That clause is more annoying than it is useful.
Yeah, okay, Tristani Discordant in Standard. It's just a Regal Caracal, right? Except like you don't want to play too many in multiples.
Right.
Like it pumps all creatures. It's got like a bigger butt. So like in the matchups where Caracal was at its best, this is even better.
Yeah, did you pronounce that card 2 different ways in like 2 different sentences?
He did, yes.
Yeah.
It's called hedging. You should try it sometime.
Yeah, exactly. I've heard it both ways.
It sounded funny, so I adjusted.
Yeah.
I've heard it both ways.
Like you don't make the same mistake twice.
I do think it's Caracal for what it's worth, but anyways,
it's Colossal.
Yeah. No, Tristani, I do agree, is better. It's reasonable-ish in Standard. It seems unlikely, but it's possible. All right, next up is Drowned Secrets.
This card's awful.
Seems like a bulk rare.
It's so narrow.
Hatchery Spider.
Look at Glimpse the Unthinkable.
I like Hatchery Spider. It's probably bulk, but like it's at least a cool card.
Gruesome Menageries bulk. Vivid Revivals bulk.
Yep.
I don't like Mnemonic Betrayal. Convince me otherwise.
The Gonti player doesn't like Mnemonic Betrayal. What's going on?
All right, so Mnemonic
You only get the cards
Betrayal.
per turn.
Mnemonic
cards
Betrayal.
for 1 turn.
Hey, it's a 3 mana reverse Yawgmoth's Will, right? You Yawgmoth's Will your opponent's graveyard. You get to cast the cards in their graveyards this turn. At the beginning of the next end step, if any of them remain exiled, return with their owner's graveyard. So
you're gonna want a ton of mana for that. It's really mana intensive. That's the problem.
Yeah.
Like
Villainous Wealth is just better in every way.
Villainous Wealth is way better, but I think you can play both. If you're only getting 2 or 3 spells, but here's the thing: like Mnemonic Betrayal, you'll pay 3 mana plus X mana for their spells. If you play Spell Twine for 6 mana, you're not paying the mana cost.
Here's a card that I play. Here's a card that I play in EDH that nobody who I play it against has ever heard of. Hedonist Trove.
I know what Hedonist Trove does.
It's way better than this.
Yeah, it kind of is.
Because you screw their graveyard forever, so even if they get rid of the Hedonist Trove, you Bojuka Bog them. At the very, very worst, you can play the lands every single turn. You can steal their acceleration effects, so you can that's an Exploration or a Zeus that died. I'll take that, then I'll play more of your lands. Like, Hedonist Trove is so much better than this. It's so much easier to cast. It also costs, But, this costs 1 billion mana anyway.
Yeah, the only way I can actually see using this card in... Commander or whatever is when you have 5 mana and you just want to get rid of something from their graveyard. Right, it's mythic because it's reverse Yawgmoth's Will, and it's expensive because it's reverse Yawgmoth's Will. But I think it's
Hedonist Trove.
Jake, are we wrong? Okay, great. All right, Light of the Legion is bulk. Chance for Glory. I got so incredibly blown out by this card.
He likes Light of the Legion. He wants to go back.
Tim Willoughby destroyed me with Chance for Glory in draft.
Yeah, I mean, if you it's like one of those cards that when you think about cards and when they're good and when they're not good, I generally like to think about it in quadrants, right?
Okay.
And how good is this card when I'm ahead? How good is this card when I'm behind? How good is this card when I'm at parity? How good is this card as a late game top deck? Right? And you think about how many boxes you can check off with slots for utility cards, and Chance for Glory is one of these cards that when you're ahead, it's just absolutely a 10, completely insano bonkers, and if you're in any other situation at all, it's just a steaming hot pile of garbage.
Well, to be fair, I mean, this is obviously limited, but he made an attack, and I made blocks, and it was the kind of thing where we were mostly parity after the blocks, but it just served as like a double creature.
Oh, this thing's an instant?
Yup.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
right,
it's a combat trick plus like
Yup.
well, now that you lost all your creatures.
I did. Okay, I don't know. I don't know. I hadn't thought about it in my head as an instant yet.
It messes up people's blocking really hard. Because, like I said, and this is limited, but this may or may not be a constructed metagame you could see. We were in the Boros Mirror, and we were just jamming creatures into each other. Crazy complicated game. Weird boards. I make a calculated attack. I've got a couple creatures back. That's fine. I'll chump block or I'll trade. However, and then I've got a good attack coming back in the air or whatnot. Chance for glory, I just lost the game on the spot. Because they get the extra turn, and they get another attack step, and you lose. So, if there's a standard metagame where similar board states happen, you could sideboard it in, maybe. But at $3, I don't really care much about it. All right. Next couple are bulk. Erratic Cyclops, Bounty of Might. Vraska's Stone Glare. That seems bulk as well.
Rowcaller. So we've reached the bulk. We've done it.
Vraska. The next we're into the
Planeswalker intro
Planeswalker deck cards.
I think Vraska is super bad. I don't care how much starting loyalty he's got. I think it's really bad.
This is the Planeswalker deck one.
The Planeswalker deck one? Yeah, it's bad.
We've reached the intro deck ones.
Oh, we already did the other Vraska.
Yeah, the other Vraska was also bad. I don't think it's as bad as people think, but it's
You don't want to pay $15 for a Vraska and a $15 Planeswalker deck?
Yeah, right. All right, well, there we go, everybody. It's your Guilds of Ravnica Set review. I actually liked this format because it's sort of naturally whatever people want to hear about, that's what we're going to talk about first.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, if you like this format, send us an email saying, hey, do your set reviews like this from now on. If you don't like it, write it on a piece of paper, jam that right up your pee hole.
Oh, well, there you go. Jake, thanks again for coming on, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me. This is
where
fun.
Where can people find you?
Go to bed.
Where can people find you across the internet?
Okay, so look me up on Twitter at JVLTMS. Also on Instagram, JVLTMS. I have 0 Instagram posts.
Give them those Insta followers.
However, I am planning on, once Guilds of Ravnica goes live, brewing decks and using my Instagram as a means to share those with the community.
There you go.
So if you would like to follow at JVLTMS, if you know me, I've built a lot of pretty good decks over the years. I wrote the Building on a Budget column for the better part of a decade. I feel like this set gives me a lot of room to brew, and to brew decks that have the potential for being competitive, especially when further refined from the Genesis point in my brain.
What Jake isn't saying is that he's really good at Magic. So he is, and you should follow. And these aren't my brews. We'll put it that way.
He's won the Pro Tour one time total?
Yep.
Yeah, I only won one Pro Tour.
Well, there you go, everybody. That's the name of the episode. I only won one Pro Tour. Sad emoji. All right, everybody. Thank you for listening.
What have you done lately?
Yeah, thank you for listening, everybody. Thanks again to Jake for coming on. Enjoy your pre-release this weekend. Have fun. Enjoy the information for that. You can get to come back next week and tell us how you want. Thanks for listening, everyone. This is Brainstorm Brewery. We'll see you next time.
Bye-bye.
Send in your t-shirts. TJ's like, bulk. This is a good card, but I don't want to buy it. Bulky.